Okay. Oh, goodness. Good morning. Good morning. It's Friday. We made it. We made it through the week. All right, what's going on here? Huh. I hope it's not frozen. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess. Because normally there's more people by now. But we'll see. Oh. Okay, maybe it's not frozen. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do let's take these off. We're going to do the little coffee cup here. So on this, we're going to use some French knots and some ring knots, and that will also help to fill in this guy and the middle of that if you wanted to do that. So first, we're going to learn the French knot and the ring knot. The ring knot is something I've not taught before, but it leaves a little ring. It's just like a French knot, but like you've got a little ring there. And that's quite fun. And then we'll use like a satin stitch, a split stitch, and a double whipped backstitch to finish the rest of it. So let's go through this real quick because we need to learn how to do a French knot before we can get started with the rest. So I like to do my French knots with a clean hoop, and I like to do a grid. So in the end, it looks like this. So you've got your strands here on the side, and then you've got your wraps here at the top. So you've got one strand, one wrap, one strand, two wraps, one strand, three wraps. And this kind of will give you a little grid, and it will show you how certain knots look the same. So if you've only got 3 strands and you think, oh, I don't have enough to double it up, but I really want a 6-strand knot like this, you can actually just do 3 strands and 3 wraps, and they look very similar. Same with 3 strands and 1 wrap, or 1 strand and 3 wraps. They look similar. So you can kind of mix and match. If you have the time, I would do 1 wrap, 2 wraps, and 3 wraps, and then do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strands all the way down. But for time's sake, we're just going to do 1 strand, 3 strand, and 6 strands. So hopefully that will make sense. I've got a little helper at my feet today, so I'm in my legs are like this, trying to. I got 1, 3, 6. If you want to make the lines, you can make the lines. You don't really have to if you don't want to. Like that. So I'm going to start with 3 strands just so that you can know how to do the actual knots. So let's just zoom in a little bit, but you need to know both hands because this is one of those where you need both. And if you don't have a hoop stand, you'll be picking your hoop up and putting it down. So something to think about. So what we're going to do, and I'll show left-handed as well. So you've got right-handed and left-handed. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull it up, grab your thread in your left hand, and put your right hand on top with your needle. And you're going to do 1 wrap. Okay? And then put this right back down next to, not directly in the same hole, just like right next to it. And the most important part here is to not let go of this with your left hand. And you're going to shimmy all this thread all the way down the base of your needle so that it's like touching the fabric. Okay? Keep your hand here. So if you do not have a hoop stand, this is where you'll pick up your hoop like this and keep your thumb holding this part and push it down like this. And don't let go until it's almost all the way through. So we've done 3 strands, 1 wrap. So let's do it again. Again, the most important part is to shimmy all of those wraps, however many you have, whether it's 1 wrap or 3 wraps, all the way down the shaft of your needle to the base of your fabric where your needle touches your fabric. So again, in your left hand, Put this on top. One wrap. And you're not holding this really tight. You shouldn't have like a bendy needle, and it shouldn't be super, super tight because you still need to be able to move your needle and put it down right next to. So again, shimmy this down. If you don't, you're not going to have a really nice tight French knot. You're going to have a loosey-goosey one. So hold that like this and pull it all the way down. Okay, let's do left-handed because I know some people are left-handed and they get a little bit confused because it's opposite. So when your right hand, in your right hand, you're going to take this here, and your left hand, you're going to put it on top and do your wrap and put it down right next to where you came up and shimmy that down. Let me just get this loop out of the way. There we go. Shimmy that down. Don't let go. Here. And pull it through. Okay. So if you are left-handed, you're probably way more coordinated than me, and you can probably do them way, way, way faster. But that's the initial thing. Okay. The most important part is you're going to want to put your needle above. Let's just do that again. Above your thread up here and wrap it around like that. And then shimmy it down. Love that you show left-handed. Thank you. Okay, so let's do 2 wraps. It's exactly the same, except you're gonna wrap it twice. So pull it through on top, 1, 2, put it right back down, shimmy it down, and pull. Okay, you're gonna get a bigger knot the more wraps you do. I wouldn't do more than 3 because they tend to not lay flat against the fabric as a knot. They tend to kind of go like this and curl up over the knot. So essentially what you're doing is you're doing a little tacking stitch to hold all of those rings in place. So you've got these 2 loops here, and then when you put this down, this here that I'm pulling through becomes the tacking stitch to hold those loops and those rings together. Okay, let's do 1 more, and then we'll go to 3. If you've got any questions, then just let me know. Write it in the box, because I'm going to do this a little bit quickly. And then we'll also do the ring knot. So there we go for that. We've got 3 strands, 1 wrap, 2 wraps, 3 wraps. Let's go to 1 strand. Now 1 strand is a little bit tricky only because they're so small. So if you need like seeds on a strawberry, or if you really like that really tight, small kind of like the pollen in the middle of a flower or something like that, they're so tiny. They're also really great for like what's it called? The dot on an eye, or like an exclamation point. But they're so tiny. But they do give a good texture. So if you're ever thinking, I want to give a little texture here, what should I do? You can always fill it in with French knots and see if that is something that is interesting to you. I know there's an embroidery artist called Kelly Ryan, I think is her name. And she does entire hoops full of French knots. They are so tiny and cute. I'll zoom in after this so you can see what they look like. But they're so small. Now, this is where I'm saying if you did all of them, some of them look really similar. So if you're only going to do like a little cheat sheet, then that's totally fine. But if you have the time, do the 1 strand, 2 strand, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because you can kind of see that if you just make your your wraps more or less, you can use almost any kind of thread. You can use 4 strands, you can use 5 strands, whatever you're working with. If you just make your wraps more or less, you can get a bigger or smaller knot. So let's do 6. And I'm just using the scrap thread that we've used already. Mel said that she liked my nails, and I think Nem was the one who said navy with sparkles. And I asked David when he got home, what color should I do my nails? And he said blue. And I said, okay. We've only got one color blue. We'll see what it looks like. They're so tiny and cute. Oh, that's just 2, not 3. But again, if you're finding that you're not getting really nice tight knots, that they're more loose than this, then you need to pull your thread all the way down. So if I were to just go like that, let's zoom in here. It's almost like a ring knot because it's not very tight at all. Do you see? But if you do one properly and really shimmy that down and pull it nice, then that makes a much nicer, tighter knot. So again, we're not pulling super, super tight. We're just shimmying it down. Mel asked, is the type of needle you use matter? And I like to match the needle with how many strands I'm using. That's it. So I don't use any like special kind of needle. Let's just do one with 4 wraps or 5 wraps. Here's 5. And you can kind of see it works. You still get a knot, but you get a really big buildup of those wraps. So they don't actually lay down in a knot that's flat like that. They kind of come up. Is there a place for this? Yes. If you wanted to make, like we're going to make a frothy coffee on the top of ours, you can use more and more and more if you wanted to show that there was a lot of like a foam, like a 3D effect here. So that's 5. Let's do like 8. Oh gosh, I don't have very much thread left. But you'll be able to tell. It's almost like a bouillon knot, isn't it? It's even more, that just makes me feel sick. It's just even more kind of humped up like that. So it just depends on what you want it to look like. Now, I also said we're going to learn the ring knot. And actually, Karen from Karen Embroiders, or Skin Karen, she has 2 accounts. She used the ring knot in one of her, it does look like a caterpillar, in one of her embroideries, her anime embroideries. And I was like, oh, that's so clever. She does it a little bit differently than what I've seen online and what I've found works for me. So how she does it is like this. And I couldn't really get it to work up here very well. Mine looked a bit messy, but that's kind of the point. So with a ring knot, you're going to leave a ring. So you're not really going to shimmy those threads down to the base of your needle, and you're not going to pull them tight. You're going to leave them loose. So if you're getting messy knots like this, that's fine. That's the whole point, is that you want them to be a little bit messy. And I thought that these looked like bubbles. So I thought, actually, we could do some little ring knots around the outside edge of our coffee, like where the 2 colors are going to meet, like the coffee color and the cream color, or the milk color. And maybe that would make it look like bubbles or make it look like a frothy kind of situation. So let's see how those are made. This is how she does it. She goes up from the back, does the regular whatever, okay? And then how she does it is she goes back around like that and down. So I've just lost it, of course. So 2 wraps and then around and back down. And this is where I just couldn't get it to look right. So I'm not quite sure if that's right or not. It looks better here than it does up there, to be fair. But But yeah, let's try it again. And I'll show you the other way that I found to do a ring knot, which is also a little bit different. So again, 2 loose wraps, and then instead of going straight down, you're gonna pick that thread back up around again and go straight down, okay? And I'm just gonna pull it through. So you still get those loopy loops. Now, the more loose that you leave it on your needle, the more kind of wild it's gonna be on here. So it depends on if you want them all to be neat and the same, or if you're okay with them being a little bit, you know, wild. Now, the other way that I showed, no, not that I showed, that I found online, Jessie's legs are like right where I need to stand, is like this. Let's just move over to a new place, okay? As you come up from the back, okay? And this is the tricky part, is they have you loop, so like pick it up like this, and you're gonna hold it like this. So what you want is your thread to be underneath here and this one to be over. Now, if this is really confusing for you and you're like, Tori, you need to chill with all of these new stitches, just try it. Just have a try. And if you really feel like this is too overwhelming for me, then just don't do it. Just stick to the French knots and you'll be fine, okay? But I know that there are other people here who are like, I want to learn a new stitch. I want to try. So if that's you, then give it a go. Okay, there's no, like, you don't have to do any of this. So if you feel like, wow, this is a lot, it's okay. So you're going to leave that like that. Let's just do it again. So I like take my hand like this and flip it over and then flip it back over again. Just like that. And then you're going to put your needle back down on the inside the loop, but right next to where you went up. And then from here, you can pull however big or small you want them to be. Okay? So this one makes it look a little bit more uniform because these ones, obviously there's two loops. So sometimes they might look a little bit messy if you feel like you want them to look a certain way. But this way, they all can look the same size. So let's do it again. Come up. Yeah. Put your fingers like this, but then flip it over. Grab. And flip it over like that. Ooh, flip it. There you go. And then put your needle inside the loop and right next to where you came up. See? And then again, you're gonna pull it as tight or as loose as you need it to go. Okay? Again, I'm hoping that this makes sense. Again, if you pull it too tight, then it's not gonna leave a ring. So this is what I found for the ring knot. Get off of there. Little rings like that. So let's get started on the actual embroidery part, which is probably what you would like to see the most. So we're gonna do a easy peasy thing we've already done before, which is a whipped back stitch, but we're gonna do the double whipped back stitch, which means we're just going to do 2 lines of back stitch that match up. Get in there, man. And then we'll fill it in the middle of the coffee. So I'm going to use this kind of dark gray blue. I think it's quite a nice color. All 6 strands, because I want the edge of my coffee cup to be like quite dominant and to see it really well. So we're going to do just like we did with the mittens, except we're going to do a double whipped back stitch. So the double should look like this. You've got, wherever you start, it doesn't matter, but you're gonna have 2. So whatever your stitch length, you're gonna do 2 right next to each other. 2, 2, 2. So 2 backstitch. So you can either do, let's do the outside edge. You can either do 1 row around and then go around again, which is probably what I'm gonna do. And then we're going to whip both of them. Yeah, she's a lefty. I thought you were, Veronica. So we've got all 6 strands here. I'm gonna do 1 row of backstitch. Oh, I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb this morning before the thing. And then we're gonna whip both of them, and this is gonna make it look like one solid shape, like one solid ring. Mel says that she is too. I feel like I knew that, but I'm not sure. So we've got lefties rule. I've always tried to write with my left hand and do stuff with my left hand. I feel like it's like challenges your brain a little bit. Like every time I'm always like, oh man, this is hard. Do you find like some things more difficult to do with your left hand? Like learning tutorials or something, or I know they make like lefty scissors. So that's good. Or do most things like not matter? That color is so pretty. Thank you. I actually found it in my neutral bin, which I probably would have put it in blue if I had really looked at it, because it does go more blue in the light. But sometimes I organize all my stuff at nighttime. So some colors like okay, so as you can see here, we're doing another row on the inside, but we're going to mirror the same stitches. So we're not going to offset them. They're going to be exactly the same. So we can put our needle under both of them at the same time. Okay? So I hope that's clear. It's just a back stitch, but it's 2 rows and they're exactly the same. So we want the stitch length to be the same, and where you come up and go down is the same spot. So from here to here. So Hannah says, my husband is always so mad because card games like Uno, for example, are not possible to play as a lefty. Oh. Really? That is so interesting. Like, he just has a hard time? And Mel says that she doesn't have any trouble. She's just always mirrored what she's learning. So put it on the other side. I always find it funny when people like look at pictures of people and they say, oh, she got engaged and she's got a ring on her finger. And she's like, no, I've just used like the front facing camera instead of the back facing camera, because that flips everything. And I get really, like, sometimes I just can't tell. Like, someone once was showing their house And they always used the front-facing camera, so everything was flipped. But then when they showed their house again the next time, it was with the back-facing camera, and everything was in the wrong place. So, like, I thought the door would be here, but it was actually over here. And I was like, whoa. That's like a weird, just seems so strange. I eat right and stitch left. Everything else is right-handed. Oh, that's really interesting. So, like, there's some things that you will do with your right hand. I just find it so interesting. My husband is the same, Mel. I'm really interested in this Uno thing, though. Okay, make sure you've got enough thread to go all the way around again. So if you don't, get some more. And then what we're going to do is come up again here on the first ring. And this is where we're going to whip it under each of the stitches. So you can either go from in or out, out to in, like I'm doing, or in to out. It doesn't matter, but you have to pick away and do that the whole time. And you're going to whip that together like this. Just like we did for the mittens. So, like literally exactly the same. Let's get this, because it's a bit dark. Can you tell? And all we're doing is covering up those stitch marks that you can see there. And of course I pulled my needle out. This is where I would be turning the hoop, you know? Am I gonna make it? I think I'm gonna make it. Left scissors are weird to me. I'm still trying to decide color. You always take so long to decide a color. I love it though. I feel like for the coffee cup, you kind of want something that goes with the color of the coffee you're gonna do. So if you're gonna do like a green tea latte or something, pick something that kind of complements that. Because even though we know that it's a coffee cup, it just might look better if you picked something that was complementary. Okay, and then for this one, I like to just tuck it underneath the stitches that we've already done. So it goes like that. And then finally, for the little handle, I'm just gonna do some straight stitches or satin stitches, whatever you wanna call it. Just here, and fill in this little guy. So Hannah says the little numbers and symbols are on the left. So if you hold them with your right hand to pick up the cards with your left hand, you can't see any of them. I wouldn't have even noticed that. Like, I think if you would have told me, like, to draw an Uno card, I'd be like, no idea. In my mind, I know what they look like, but I would have never remembered that that's where all of the symbols and numbers are and stuff. That must be so difficult. Well, there you go. You just need to make a left-handed Uno deck. Or maybe they would like change where the numbers are. I would have never guessed that, like never. Okay. Stop with the licking. Stop with the licking. Or you can go outside. Do you want to go outside? Oh, is there anything worse than, well, if you've got a dog. If you haven't got a dog, then you probably don't know. But is there anything worse than when your dog starts licking and gets like into like a little rhythm and you're like, ugh, it makes me feel sick. Okay, so real quick, because I know that some people will think, Tori, it's been 30 minutes. Don't lick my legs either. What my plan is to do the coffee color, which I've picked this kind of lighter brown, and I'm going to do a little split stitch all the way around. Then I'm going to do the cream color with a satin stitch straight across, just a regular satin stitch. And then on these edges, I'm going to fill them in with the French knots and the ring knots. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to use 3 strands for all of it, I think. And again, this might be something where I need to go live again later, because I don't want to rush it and I don't want you guys to feel like you didn't tell us all the things. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we'll just have to do a little bit later as well, which is fine. It's Friday. Yesterday, I fixed all my mistakes with the advent calendar, so that was good. So yeah, we make mistakes. People make mistakes. But I fixed all of those yesterday. So I'm back on track today. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to try 3 strands. I probably should have done 4 because it would have been a little bit thicker. But I've already got it on my needle, so. Uno is so fun too. I still can't get over that, you know? Uno is so fun. I feel like you'd really be missing out if you couldn't play it, you know? Okay, so this is also where if you want to make something clever in like the foam of your coffee, like how I pour my espresso in. So we've done split stitch before. We've done them here. But this one here is just exactly the same, except I'm working it in rows and filling in the shape instead of just doing one line at a time. So I'm kind of doing the whole shape. And this is where people get a little bit like, this is chaotic. I can't with this. The only thing you need to remember is to fill in all the shape and to split all the stitches. So if you make a stitch, then you need to split it somehow. And it doesn't have to be in a straight line like this. So this one here kind of had to be in a straight line because we were following the line. But this one is just split all the stitches, fill it in. And because I want to put all of the French knots or ring knots around the edge where these 2 things meet, I'm not too concerned with the outline because I'm going to kind of cover that up a little bit. But as I was saying, I got a little sidetracked. This is where if you want to make something really clever, like a heart or a frog or a flamingo or whatever you feel like, draw it in before you start this part, and then we can fill it in around that, okay? So I'm just doing a really easy, like, circle because it's simple. You know what, I think I will go live like again later because it's already been 35 minutes. I always think it's not going to take very long, and then it takes like double the amount of time. And then I feel bad for doing that to you guys. Hannah says, I bet he could learn to hold the cards differently, but I get that that's annoying. Yeah. Hi, Kimberly. So yeah, really figure out what you guys want to put in here. Like if you don't drink coffee, maybe you don't want to have like a foamy, you know, maybe you don't want to do the French knots here. You don't want to have like a foamy, frothy top on there. You can do like a green tea latte, or you could do just regular tea. The key is just to find the color that would fit best for you. So if you're not doing this foamy stuff, you could probably just either split stitch the whole thing in one direction, or you could satin stitch the whole thing in one direction and just fill it all up. So this is really only if you wanted to add the foam. Did you guys see the anchor crafting stitch along that we're going to do? I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun. I know I'm not finished with this one yet, but we had to plan it because they're doing another stitch along in Spanish, I believe, after that in November sometime. So the instruction will be all in Spanish. So this was like literally the only time that we could put one, like if I wanted to do a stitch along, basically, before three strands for the split stitch. So yeah, and I'm not sure if we're going to do a free stitch along in February, because I know I always do one for National Embroidery Month. So normally I do a paid stitch along and a free stitch along, but I'm just not sure if it'll work with a 1-month-old baby. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, thank you, Mel. I'm almost all the way around. If I can just do the satin stitch, I would be happy. And then we can come back and do the other parts later. And if you're new, I don't really like going over kind of 45, 50 minutes because the longer it is, the harder it is to save. And I cannot save it at all if it goes past 60 minutes. So I have to really keep an eye on the time, because otherwise I cannot save them and put them to YouTube. And I feel like with the plant sanctuary stitch along, a lot of those videos were very long, like 57 minutes, 50 minutes, 55 minutes. And I feel like maybe that's why they are not uploading all the way. I put in a ticket with them and they said that they resolved it and that it should be fine. And I've tried it again. And for some reason, they just get so far and then they stop. So I don't know if it's just from like saving from Instagram to my phone or something. I don't know. Have to go now. See you later. Have a good day. But I do try and make them not so long. This little coffee cup is a little bit more complicated than I thought, though. I'm not going to lie. But we did spend a lot of time doing the French knots and ring knots, so it's like that sometimes, you know? Life be like that sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there. And let's do the cream color at least, so that if you don't want to add French knots to this one, you can at least add them to the other one, the middle of your other flower. So at least it's not like I showed it to you for no reason. Let's do, I said 3 strands, but what about 4 strands? I'm gonna do 4 strands for the satin stitch over top. You can also do a split stitch over top if you love the split stitch and you just want to keep going with that. But I'm gonna make mine a regular satin stitch, straight across, straight down. So I've got 4 strands for this. And they'll all be in the description as well. And I'll make sure that all of the videos from this week are up on YouTube so that if anyone wants to do a little bit of work at home at the weekend, then they can. So we've got a long satin stitch here. And again, like I said, I'm not too concerned about the edge on this because I'm gonna fill it in. These are a little far apart though. We can always go back and put another one in the middle if we need to. Okay. I'll definitely come back later and do the knots on the top and show you how that looks because I don't want it to look so flat. Jessie just did a big sigh, so apparently she does not want me to do that. She was like, ugh, why are you like this? So yeah, lots of ways that you can, lots of ways you can do this. Oops, I undid my stitch. And then we just have the other side to do, and then we'll be done for this video. So yeah, I'll come back a bit later after lunch. You need another one right there? We'll just do one small one. I'll come back later after lunch, probably around the same time, maybe like 3 to 4 or 2 to 3. My time, and then we can add in all of those little knots and see what they look like. I bet I'll run out of thread before I even finish this. Oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Honestly though, I think it looks pretty good. Like if you zoom out, can you hear my stomach rumbling? We're actually out of milk. I should go walk up to Little and get some milk. Looks amazing. Are you busy after this, Ashley, or Kimberly. Do you know, I was just thinking about your new car and how it looks like Ashley's. Not at all. Free as a bird. Do you want to walk too? Little. I need to get some milk. And we also do not have anything for dinner. So I should get something. Harrison said the same. Totally. Sounds like a plan. Actually, yesterday, because like you guys went to town and then left one of the cars, David goes, "Oh, is that Ashley's car out there?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "But I thought Kimberly was getting a new car today." I go, "Yeah, she did." And he goes, "Oh." And then Ashley left, and then your car was there, and he goes, "Why is Ashley's car still here?" I said, "No, that's Kimberly's car." Because you're like almost the same color and like a little bit the same shape. I was like, "Get your cars right, David." He was like, "What?" He's so confused. I was like, "Yeah, Ashley's car was here, but now it's not here anymore." It was so funny. Okay. So that's it from here. I'll go live later, like I said earlier, and do the knots on top because I feel like that's really going to make it look like a frothy coffee, which was what I had in mind when I made this. So if you're not finished with your gloves and you're not finished with your scarf/blanket and you're not finished with your coffee cup, do not worry. You're not behind. It's not a problem. Okay, don't rush to get it done before Monday. All we have left to do here is we've got the book. That'll take about 2 days because we've got the background and the lettering. We've got the other blanket/scarf, and then we have the pumpkin, and that's it. So we're almost finished. And then for Details Day, which could be Thursday, could be Friday, probably Friday, we'll do a little outline on here. We can do some fringe around here. And then if you want to add anything else to anything else, that will be for Details Day. So I hope you have a lovely, lovely weekend. Remember, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, and I'm not going to be here on Sunday. So I'll see you back here Monday morning at 10. So enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk with you later. Bye.